Hello, how are you tonight? Thank you very much for joining me, whether you're watching me live or on the replay. I'm not quite sure what happened a minute ago. Apparently I went live, but I didn't remember touching anything to tell it to go live. And it didn't show up on my computer, so I don't know if anybody saw a moment of me mumbling to myself or not, but that's okay. I mumble to myself all the time. It's not a big deal. All right, so here we are, maybe for the second time, I don't know. So tonight is the 11th day of my 12 Days of Christmas series. I'm Roberta Colasino. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, and I come to you every Wednesday, except during this time of year when I come to you at the same time, 7 o'clock, but 12 days in a row. I took Thanksgiving off, 12 days in a row, bringing you some Christmas gifts, Christmas cards, things that you could give to, office mates, the postman, things like that. Tonight, I have kind of a mishmash of showing you a way to use your circle punches to create a bunch of things, from cards to home decor to an ornament, let's say, okay? So I'll show you how to use those circle punches in those ways. And if you don't have circle punches, well, you really have to get some. Or circle dies are great as well, but I do love the punches because they're easy. And thank goodness when Stampin' Up! Started to retire some of their circle punches, I didn't get rid of mine. I know a lot of people did. I didn't, and then they brought circle punches back. They're pretty much now only online exclusives. I don't think you're going to find them in the catalog at all, and they may come and go, but they know that people really love those circle punches. So I will put the camera down and we will get started, okay? Hang on. All right. I try not to do too much moving without blocking the camera, because some people actually tell me that they get kind of seasick from that. All right, there we go. I think we're good. All right, so tonight, like I said, we're doing a card, an ornament, and I don't know if we'll actually do a whole piece of home decor or if I'll just show you how you can do it, but we'll see how much time we have. All right, and you know what? Today is December 1st, and I did not put my new host code up. I was really busy today. I didn't do several things I should have done today. I didn't even change my calendar downstairs. So yeah, I will get to that. I'm sorry, probably tonight, I hope, because I feel like I'm running out of time for everything I want to do. All right, so let's start with this card first. So I've got I think that's Cherry Cobbler card base. And then what I did was I got out all of my circle punches, or at least all the ones that I could find, and I started punching out circles in different colors and different sizes using designer series paper, both retired and current. Anything that I had scraps. So this is a great scrap buster thing as well. You've probably heard me use the term scrap buster, and that's what that means. When you have scraps, if they're teeny tiny, don't save them because it just gets kind of silly. But if they're not teeny tiny, then put them in a folder or just keep them with the designer series paper itself. And I guarantee you that you can find some uses for them. Also here on this group, 11 Lakes Stamper Creatives, if you use the hashtag ScrapBusterCards or ScrapBuster projects, you will find some other things that I've done using scraps, and they're quite nice actually. So for this card, this is going to be the base, but right now we're just going to work on this. So this is a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white. And what we're going to do is just create a circular pattern on this card to make it look like a wreath. Now most of our DSP is two-sided, so I was careful to cut out an actual image on one side, but if you weren't into that, then you've got the trees on the other side. So that's one of the things I really like about our DSP, is that most of it is two-sided. Here's an example of one that's not. So this is a designer series paper, but it's a specialty designer series paper, and it's got some foiling on it, which again might be hard to see on camera. Oh, I need overhead lighting is what I need, but then you have the problem with reflection from the overhead lighting showing. And that can be an issue. Well, you're going to have to take my word for it. It does have like some foiling to it, so that makes it kind of pretty. So that's why there's nothing on the other side. And to begin with, when I started playing with this is also from that same pack of paper. I think you can see the foiling a little bit better on the, I think it's crushed curry. I just punched out a bunch of different things. Maybe we don't want too many of like the same colors next to each other. Maybe it honestly doesn't matter. And obviously we're going to overlap these. So I started out with these sizes. This is a 1-inch circle punch. And obviously, like I said, we'd be overlapping them, so we probably need more. I think I figured out I would need at least 10 of the 1-inch circles. I don't want to make it too big because I want to leave room for a sentiment there. All right. But then I thought, I don't know, it might look better or maybe more interesting if I did do some in larger sizes. So I got out, I think this is the 1¼ inch. I think it's 1¼ . Yeah, because there was a 1½ inch punch, and if I had it, I couldn't find it tonight. So I think this is, yeah, this is 1¼ . So I thought, what if I kind of mix them up a little bit? So what if there were a couple of these thrown in at different intervals? So I've got some real red and I've got some mossy meadow as well. I probably don't want those two right next to each other. Maybe throw one of those in. And then I went ahead and just for the heck of it, I also grabbed a 1/2 inch punch. These are the 1/2 inch right here. 1/2 inch punch and a 3/4 inch punch. So we've really got quite a variety. And of course I do want to keep it kind of circular if possible. So let's see, so this one has Christmas stockings on one side, and I cut those out carefully in case that was the size I wanted. But on the other side, there's kind of a, I don't know, like a Baroque pattern. I'm not sure what you'd call that. And I don't mind the cutesy ones mixed in with the pretty ones, but it's entirely up to you how you do yours, because you might not want cutesy mixed in at all. I don't know. That's up to you. And let's see. So we kind of keep going like this. I'm going to keep it close to the top, like I said, to keep some room. I don't know if I want an even number of the larger ones or an odd number. I don't know if it matters. I honestly don't know if it matters at all. Let's see. I think I do want them like overlapping in the same order, not same order, but so it goes, this one's on top of this one, this one's on top of that one, instead of kind of willy-nilly like that is. I don't know if that makes sense to you, because you might not care enough to even notice that it's different. So I think I'm going to kind of start gluing things down, but I might be a little conservative with how much glue I use so that I can pick things up again. Maybe having a larger one at the top might be a good way of sort of establishing where I'm going with this. So I'll definitely use a decent amount of glue there and put that at the top and probably as close to in the center as I can. Okay, that's pretty good. Again, it certainly doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so if I'm going this way now, I'm going clockwise, then I'm going to keep putting on top of another, one on top of another. All right, and I want to make sure, you know what I should have done? I should have drawn a circle on here using a compass or tracing something, because that would make sure that I didn't get off the path, that I didn't get wonky. But we'll just go with this and see if it works. You know that I'm pretty laid back about stuff like that. I don't get too worried about it. All right. I don't want to have all of those kind of in the same spot, though. So now I am going to start laying these out again, just because I want to see how they go in this order. And I think I want to be careful. Maybe one of these not too cutesy things next to each other, not too green things next to each other. And again, I don't know if that matters. I don't know if you care. You'll have to tell me. Would you care if colors were touching that were the same? Maybe if you're not one of those people, if you don't care if your food is touching, maybe you don't care if your colors are touching either. I don't know. So then, all right. I may not need this one because it's going to end up being too close, so I may not have to use it at all. So this one on top of that one, on top of that one, on top of that one, on top of that one. Let's put that one there, and then on top of that one. All right, it's looking pretty good as far as being round goes. And then maybe that one there. Looks a little wonky over here, but it's not terrible. I think I can live with that. The other thing is that one of the reasons I cut some of these small ones was that I thought if it got a little wonky in some way, I could make up for that by putting a smaller one kind of like right there or something. And we'll see if that works. And if it turns out that I'm not doing really good at getting it even and getting it round, then you will know to draw a circle on yours and sort of work from that when you're doing yours, if in fact you decide to do this. That's easy, right? And I saved a whole bunch of scraps over here nearby. Let's not put the little, whatever he is, elf or whatever. See, now I feel like I'm making the circle smaller, which might not be a bad thing, so we'll keep going. And if I have to eliminate a couple, I can do that too. Okay, well, I kind of hate to cover up that present, so I'm not going to cover up too much of it because I want to see it. Oh, now it's wiggling on me. So I certainly think that you can see where I'm going with this. At least I hope you can. All right. And then we've got the little snowman, but we could have used the other side with the trees too. Let's get the snowman right side up. We don't want it to look like he melted. And then we better use this one next because I don't want to get it too close to that other yellow one. Okay. And then we haven't used the stockings yet, and we haven't used one of these yet. So maybe this would be a good way to close that up. So it's, you know, it's a wreath with not having any greenery and not having to stamp or die cut a bunch of greenery. So there we have that, okay, and I could have brought that in even tighter, I suppose. So now we've got this in the middle. So we do have to give a little thought to that. So I had made one of these bows from, oh, which set is it? I think it might be the Peaceful, well, I can't remember at the moment. I've got to do a better job of writing this stuff down. So I thought we could put that there, but you could also use some regular ribbon and make a bow. That'll sort of kill that, you know, spot in the middle. You could choose to put your sentiment there, but if I was going to do that, if I was planning on that, then I think I would have put the card more centered this way so that it wouldn't have a big empty space there. So I think this is a good way to kind of kill that white spot there. So then the question is, do I want to come in with just a few of these and overlap a little bit more? Or should they not be the solids? Should they be, well, maybe the solid on the pattern and then a pattern on the solid, if that makes any sense at all, like that? Do we want to just stick a few of those in there? It certainly couldn't hurt, I don't think. And then that kind of breaks things up a little bit. I think that works. It works for me. So we'll put a little bit of those in. I was going to say I thought I didn't use that one yet, but I did use it. I used it over there. So we'll put that there. Could also, if I wanted some more texture here and a little bit of dimension, I could possibly pop the smaller ones up. Let's get that up before it dries with a dimensional. And then that would give it, you know, more dimension. I always feel funny saying that. It's like, well, that's why they're called dimensionals, I assume, because they give things more dimension. So I could use some of those, and then do that with this one here. And this one's even smaller. That must be the 1/2-inch one. I might need a mini dimensional for that, huh? So a mini dimensional, and put that one there, and then maybe I did. I did some of the green ones in the very little sizes. Alright, so we could put that there. And I think that's kind of cute. I almost feel like I want a smaller one here. Could put one of this little red one here, and I may have to end up punching out some more things. We'll see. Alright, so yeah, that's cute. I like that. For some reason I like the little ones a little bit more on the outer edge. Plus then we're not covering up the snowman's face. Okay, so that works. I don't think we need to pop this up because it's got enough dimension of its own, I think. And again, this might suffer a little in going through the mail, but I don't think anybody would notice if it were flattened out a little bit because maybe they wouldn't have known it wasn't supposed to be flat. Okay. Even though there is a little bit of shine to some of these, there's not a lot. So what we could do is add a little wink of Stella. Just going to give it a little shake. This is our glitter pen. All right, maybe add some wink of Stella to the solid color ones. And unfortunately, I'm guessing, see, I can see this. I see all kinds of glitter here. I just don't know. Yeah, it's kind of just what it needed, is a little bit of glitter on these small solid color ones. Okay. Well, now I sort of feel like maybe there should be one more here. I know now I'm getting like just kind of fussy about the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's an odd number, and they kind of say you're supposed to work with odd numbers. You know what I wish I had? I wish I had cut out some small ones in crushed curry. All right, I'm going to leave this alone for now. I might add a crushed curry one later. We'll see. But again, I don't know if you can see that or not. Makes me sad when you guys can't see the shine on camera. Really can't. Okay, well, what can I say? All right, so now I'm going to need, well, depending on what sentiment I decide to use. Well, they're both photopolymers, so I'm going to need the pad. And I think I want a long one. I wonder if there's enough for this one. A Season of Wonder and Happiness. I like the way that looks. It's got a little bit of a combination of the cursive and the regular print, and I kind of like that as well. Okay, and then I have a choice between Real Red and Mossy Meadow. I'm inclined to go with the Mossy Meadow. Now I'm trying to remember, though, if that was the ink pad that needed re-inking the other day. Let's see if it was. I did put my re-inker right out here on the table just in case. Now it's upside down. Oh yeah, that definitely needs re-inking. Okay. So if you've never seen me do this before, this is the re-inker, and I always tell people this one's almost empty because I use this one a lot. When you buy a stamp pad, buy the re-inker as well. I'm not going to put a ton of ink on this because I think that this stamp pad has reached the point where I may try a technique that has worked for me before, where I take a water-based baby wipe, not an alcohol-based, but a water-based baby wipe, and I wipe some of the surface of this pad, and it sort of seems to renew the pad and make it more open to taking the re-inker, because right now I see that the re-inker, even though I'm pushing it down with my spoon, it's kind of just sitting there, and that's not what's supposed to happen. If it's dry, it should suck up the ink just like a dry plant will suck up water, and it's not happening, and a lot of the ink is just coming off on the spoon. So I think this ink pad needs some help. This is one of my older ink pads for sure. Oh, I need a tissue to wipe this off with. I had a package of baby wipes here and I brought them out of the room to use them for something else this morning. And I forgot to bring them back. My cat needed to have his face wiped off because he got into something he wasn't supposed to get into. All right, so let's try that again. Now because I just re-inked it, it could be a little goopy. So sometimes you just can't win. Okay, that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. And what I'll do is just kind of really stamp it off and clean it off. And then I'm not going to, not that you're supposed to press hard anyway, but I'm going to press very gently, kind of ultra gently, inking this up. And take a look at it. And then if I think I missed a couple of spots, I'll come back and we'll hope for the best. So when you're stamping a sentiment on a card like this, where the card is essentially done, and if you mess up the sentiment, you've messed up the card, don't panic, because you can just put a strip right over the top. Okay, that came out pretty good. There's a little funkiness happening there at the bottom of the N. I don't think anyone will notice it, so I'm not going to worry about it. And this just, instead of leaving this way, I'm going to turn it the other way, so hopefully the ink will soak into that. So a season of wonder and happiness. And now I'm ready to, so that's very inky and I can still see that it's wet, so I really want to make sure that I don't stick my finger in it. Still a little wet, only because I just re-inked it. Normally our ink dries pretty fast. Okay, I'll still try to keep my fingers away from it. No, something is not right. Either this paper is too big or this card is the wrong size, which is possible. Let's see. It should be 4 1/4 by, oh, it should be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. So, I mean, that's not a disaster. It'll still fit in the envelope, but now the problem is I would need to cut that down, and I can't cut it down enough. So I have to see what else I have sitting here that will go with that. So I don't have to get up and go across the room. And I have Pretty Peacock, but that, oh no, that's really not going to work, is it? Oh boy, oh boy. I'm already using gray on one card. So I don't want to use it on another one. It's really, blue's not really the answer either. So I could put it on, oh wait, what's this? What's this? I have a bunch of pre-cut card bases sitting here next to me. Okay, I think that'll work. Yep, that'll work. Okay, perfect. And my glue is still wet, so we're good. All right, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay. I do want to press that down. I just really want to stay away from putting my fingers on that. I'm pretty darn sure it's dry by now, but you just never know. I'm just going to give it a press all around with my bone folder and just stay away from the ink for a few more minutes. Okay, and then for the liner for the inside, I also thought we could, of course I've used a lot of these, haven't I? That we could not necessarily try to make another wreath, because that really wouldn't work on the inside, but to just maybe stack up some of these. I don't know. I thought that might be kind of cool. On the inside, I don't know, what do you think? Just kind of mimics a little bit what's being done on the outside, but not quite. Maybe some red. I think that looks okay. And at this point, I don't think I want a sentiment on the inside, but I might change my mind at some point, and that's okay. Except generally, you want to stamp before you glue. Okay, just gives us a little something something on the inside, a little decoration. Okay, so there we go. So that's a wreath card. I think that's very pretty, and I love the Wink of Stella, and I wish you could see it. All right, so then the next one in card form would be this. So for this one, I have a gray granite base. Is that gray granite, or is that... no, I think it's smoky slate. And then I've got some more circles, but this time something different. And I wasn't sure if I wanted 3 of these or 4 of these or all of these sizes or none of these sizes. I do need just a piece of scrap paper. Okay, so here was my thought on this one. My thought on this one was that this would be a card also, but a card with ornaments on it instead of a wreath. So I was thinking of, and I think I did end up throwing in one bigger one, and I'm not sure if I really want that or not, and kind of overlapping these like they're hanging from the ceiling or hanging from something. At one point I thought about doing it going in this direction, and got something on there. Doing it in this direction and just having them hanging like at slightly different heights, maybe overlapping a little bit, and then putting a longer sentiment there. I think it could work either way. When I thought of just 3, I thought, well, do I really want 3 the same exact size? Do I not want 3 the same size? Is it okay if they overlap? And I wasn't sure. So either way, or do I want to go, with a couple that are quite a bit smaller? I don't know if I want them that much smaller, though. Let's see. I think these were 1 3/4 inches. So smaller than that would be 1 1/2, which of course I don't have. I have 1 3/8, and I have 1 1/4. And those are like pretty close, but not totally close. So let's just grab another piece of that DSP and see how much smaller that would be and how that would look to us. Okay, so that's 1 1/2. Might almost be better to have one smaller than one bigger. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And then I'll show you what my thought process was. So my thought process was that I would take my fine tip micron pen. This is not as fine as they come. They do come finer, but I don't have one in black that's finer. And just go to the top and make a line. Now I could use, let's say, I could use the linen thread possibly. I could use some of the baker's twine possibly, but I kind of like the idea of doing it this way. So I made the line, and then I don't have to worry about the line really being totally straight, because I'll put the circle on afterwards and make sure that the line goes as close to the center as I think I can get it or want it. I don't know, again, how super important that is. All right, and then have this one maybe coming down a little bit lower. So again, I'll bring in my pen and my ruler. And I can use these lines on this ruler to make sure that the line is straight, or I could use my, what do you call it? T-square ruler. Okay, and then I'm going to glue that down. So I'm definitely just kind of winging it here. I don't know how important it is to not wing it. And if they overlap a little bit, that's okay too. Okay. And then, I think this is why I wasn't sure if I wanted 4 or not, even if one of them was smaller. So, well, I still could though, right? This could, so the question is, would this come down hanging from that, or would this have to have its own string? And I think it would have to have its own string. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So it would have to come like a little bit next to this one. Where's the other one? Okay. Next to this one. And then stop at that one. And then continue down. Okay, so that looks funny because that's off center, but it's okay because it's that string. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. You'd have to tell me what you thought. Okay, and then this one then, maybe a little bit this way with the string coming there. Don't know about that wide open spot. Maybe higher up and overlapping to make sure that I have some room here for a sentiment. Then that looks a little white over there, so I feel like I might want to put something there, but I don't know yet for sure. So let's see, we'll come over here a little bit. There's nothing that says I know what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? I'm just, like I said, kind of winging it. I'm going to make that one real short, and I don't know if I'm going to use it or cover it up anyway. So we'll see. Maybe just have the tiniest bit of it showing just to sort of legitimize it, if that makes any sense. Okay, and then I suppose I could, again, if I really wanted to, maybe put a smaller one, maybe cut with the blue, or maybe not, over here, just to sort of balance. That might be okay. So my idea was, before I do that, let me show you what my idea was. So if I was really good at drawing, I could draw on a bow on these, and I'd have to come over onto the DSP side, and that made me a little nervous, to be honest with you. So I made some tiny bows, pretty tiny bows, using the, whatever that stuff is, the twine. No, the linen thread, that's what it's called. Good grief. The linen thread. And a glue dot. And I think I still want to do that, but then I question if I'm kind of rolling it up into a little log. That seems to work best for me because we don't really want it to show from the other side. All right, so let's say I start out here. So if I put one here on this one, is it okay not to have one on that one? Because I think otherwise they're going to overlap, and I don't think I like the way that looks. So maybe not everyone has a bow hanging from it. The other thing is, and I have to say I've never tried this with linen thread, but I wonder if you could color the linen thread with your blends if you wanted to make it red, or if you wanted to make it, I think that's, I don't know, pool party? I'm not sure. You could do that. And then maybe, well, so there's the thing though. So if the bow, no, never mind. Bad thinking, wrong thinking. All right, I had a thought, but it didn't make sense. Imagine that. All right. And then there. And then would we call it quits, or would we feel like we had to have one there? Because it actually does sit, yeah, you know what, it does. It sits on the ornament. It doesn't sit on the string. So I wouldn't need one there or there. I would just need the one there. So then, yes, I think I would need another one there. So let me just get the linen thread out. This is the one that I think I showed you a month or so back that I couldn't find the end, and I just had a little temper tantrum and basically just hacked at it, and now I have all kinds of ends. I have like at least 3 ends. So I just keep it on hand to use for projects, and I don't worry about it. Oh, that didn't work very well. Let's try that again. Maybe I need to go from that side. Yep. Okay, so we're going to make a loop. I don't want it too big, and I hate to waste. There we go. And then we'll make it a little bit smaller, tighten it up, zhuzh it up a little bit, and then trim with the ribbon scissors. Okay. So one more glue dot. There we go. Now it all makes much more sense. That looks cute. I'm liking that just fine. All right, so these, I told you the other night, these are the Pigma Micron pens, and 05 is not the narrowest. There are all kinds of sizes. I think the 01 is one of the smallest, but I think there are some that are even like 001 or 005, and those are even finer tipped. So we've got that, which would then go on top of this, and possibly could have no sentiment on the front. I even thought possibly stamping some stars or snowflakes or something around here, and then just having a sentiment on the inside. I didn't pull out a bunch of stamp sets to do that with, so I'm not really prepared to do that. But I certainly could do that with just, I think maybe stars would be nice. Just maybe in the crushed curry color, or I don't know, just stars. And then maybe not a sentiment on the front at all, but just something on the inside. So that's what I'm kind of going with for now. That's what I'm thinking of. And I'm going to take a risk and glue this on the front. And then on the inside, I was thinking, and I don't think I cut an inside for this one, but on the inside I was thinking to do kind of the same thing, but using much smaller pieces. Oh no, look at that. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I didn't look at my hands, and I tell people in my classes, before you touch cardstock, especially white, look at your hands. Oh, and I probably shouldn't be doing this yet, because I think this eraser, the sand eraser, works better when the ink is fully dried. Grr. Okay. Oh, I do so hate when that happens. All right. I'll work on that. So there you go. There's another one. And like I said, on the inside, I think I'll cut out some more of these same ones, but in the smaller sizes, and just maybe do a few up near the top. And when I take pictures and post them, you can see what it looks like. So then I had like another card in mind, but we're not going to do that yet. I had 2 other things. One would be like a home decor project. So I took a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper and just made it 8.5 by 8.5. I took a paper plate and I just went like this on the corners with it. So I didn't make it totally round, but I didn't think that would matter. I hope I'm not wrong. And then I used this side of the plate to make that circle. And the idea is that I would cut all of that out. But before I do that, now the issue is, of course, that I don't have as many circles left as I thought I would have. So if we cut this out, we're going to want circles that are overlapping both of these sections. You see what I mean? So if I cut that, where'd my scissor go? So if I cut this off, and if I cut this off, and I'm cutting roughly because it doesn't matter, because you're not going to see any of it. So that's why I wasn't too concerned. I was a little concerned that maybe that circle in the middle was going to be too big. But I don't think it will be. I don't know how thick I want the wreath to be. And it doesn't matter if things hang into the center. In fact, I think you're going to want things to hang into the center. So I hope I'm right about that. I think I am. So obviously I would need to get out my punches, and I would need to do a whole lot more punching using the Designer Series paper that I have out here, a variety, and probably some cardstock as well. So I've got my 2-inch punch here, I think it is. Yes, the 2-inch punch. And I'm certainly going to do some cutting with the 2-inch punch. And because this is a bigger area, I can do more. Maybe the 1 3/4. I know at some point I'll want some small ones, but I don't know if I want that small. Maybe I'm going to want lots of the little red ones and sort of consider those berries on the way around. That's a possibility. I'm going to do the same thing with some of that. There we go, and maybe a smaller one, and then maybe even a 1-inch one, just for something different. But then I also want some of this other paper, actually some that I haven't used so far tonight. There's this really pretty one here with the pine boughs and the greenery. So we'll cut out a few of those. And I can choose to use either side of those, I think. I'm being a little bit careful about which paper I use because I have a class on Tuesday. And I know I'm going to need some of this paper for that. Not all of it for sure, but some of it. Okay, and then I personally think it's okay to mix Real Red with Cherry Cobbler because that's Cherry Cobbler. I don't think it matters. That's just my opinion. We'll see. And then maybe some smaller ones with this one. I've probably mentioned this before, but when you're using the punches, you get a much cleaner punch if you punch kind of fast. The only problem with that is that you want to make sure all of your skin is out of the way. I speak from experience, and you want to make sure that you're kind of over a table because sometimes the pieces just go flying across the table or across the room, and then you've got to crawl around looking for them. So it is better. I might even use some of that toile. Toile, is that what that's called? That's on the other side of that. And then maybe, since I've got just a little bit left over, get a couple of 1-inch pieces from that. And then that's pretty much seen its, the end of its day there. And then I've got some of this that will work with the 1-inch punch. It might work with this one too. Let me see. Yeah, I think I can get one out of that. Maybe two. Yeah, and you know what? If I have a piece where I have an edge like here, a little flat, I'm just going to tuck it under something, so that'll be fine too. So again, now you're kind of getting the idea of where I'm going with this. I don't know if I'll be able to finish this now or not. And then my other thought, which maybe we won't get to at all tonight, was to make a miniature version of something like this, maybe about that big, and put a string on it. So picture this cut out and hanging from a string and hanging on your tree as a Christmas ornament. So that was my other thought. So you've got cards, you've got an ornament, and then you've got a piece of home decor, which really could make a very nice gift for somebody. So and then the idea will be that I want it hanging off the edge. So I'd have to be sure to cover up all of this or make this narrower yet, which I could do. Like this section right here does appear to be wider than the other ones for sure. And you really don't want to see any of the white there either, so what I was thinking was, you know, we're going to cut this out too. And this doesn't have to be beautiful either. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to get all covered up. And really I'm making myself some nice pieces, bits and pieces for sentiment strips right here. So aside from cutting the hole in the middle, I'll be a little bit more careful the rest of the way around because this is all perfectly good cardstock to use. Okay, so that goes in my scrap pile. And then we would just kind of continue like this all the way around. And trying to be careful to cover up. And I'm going to have to, obviously, excuse me, I'm going to have to do a lot more cutting. So here's the one where that edge was showing. So I'm just going to tuck it under someplace so it doesn't matter. All right, I'm definitely going to want more of these though. So I'm just going to kind of keep working them around. We definitely don't want to see any of that white. So am I in camera for all of this? Not all of it is in camera, is it? Okay. So I'm just going to kind of start spreading some of these around. This one maybe I'll flip over to the other side. And this one maybe I'll flip over to that toile side. And then I am feeling like I'm just going to want more choices here. So if I was going to do something like this for a class, I would be punching things out for days, wouldn't I? Yes, I would. All right, so what was the big one? The big one that I used, the biggest one I used was the 2-inch. Is that really 2 inches? It almost looks bigger. Yep, no, that's 2 inches. Okay. So I think I'm going to want some more 2 inches and maybe some more 2 inches in solid colors. So over here I have a card that I ripped in half for some reason. I don't always know why I do that, but I did. So we'll just grab some of those. Right, and put that in my pile over there. All right. Oh, this is the card front that was the wrong size, so you know what? I might as well use that too. So I can use it for a card layer later on, but right now it'll be nice to have some of these on there too. And maybe some of these in the smaller. This is the cherry cobbler. Okay. And I see this little piece there that looks like it's just screaming to have me cut a circle out of it. All right, so now we've got a little bit more to work with. I feel like we need more red over here. And we need to vary the sizes a little bit more, but again, this could go on top of that, let's say. So maybe that doesn't matter. So if we put a small one of these there, and then there goes my kind of my berry idea, but we'll see. Things can change. And then there, we just don't want any of that white showing, so I'm going to keep bringing it in so the white's not showing. I think I want it pretty tight anyway. I could loosen it up and cut the white narrower, but I think I want lots of color on here, so I don't think I want to do that. All right, and then maybe stick another one of those there. We could use some more of those here. This one, for some reason, I don't feel compelled to worry about what's layered on top of what. What do you think? Let me know if you think that I should be careful about my layering, that it's all going in the same direction. All right, and then maybe another one of these. I feel like there's not enough red. All right, I am going to tuck that one under because I want to see more of that. And now I'm just seeing the tiniest bit of white showing here and there. And maybe tuck one of these in here to cover up some of that white and break up the green a little bit. All right, maybe get rid of these and go back with my kind of berry idea. I don't know if that really works or not. Maybe if they were in clusters of three little berries or 2 little berries. I'm not sure. It's not grabbing me. All right, but now you kind of see, and we could punch a hole at the top and put some nice ribbon through it and have a bow. The bow could even be hanging down into the center, or at least the ribbon could be hanging down into the center, and that would make just a cute little decoration. It could be a decoration for your office if it's not quite what you have in mind for your home. It could be something to give somebody who you know doesn't have a lot of decorations, who might appreciate this. It could be laminated if you have access to a laminating machine. It's probably just about the right size. My laminating thing laminates 8.5 by 11, but it's bigger than that to accommodate 8.5 by 11. So yeah, unless you brought it someplace like to Staples to have it laminated, you might have to make sure that it would fit in the parameters of that, but that's not a big deal. So you could laminate it, you could hang a sentiment. If you're going to laminate it, you could put a sentiment in the middle, like another circle, and it would just be there held together by the laminating. I don't know, these are just throwing out some ideas for you. So that would be, like I said, a piece of home decor, and then shrink this whole thing down using much smaller things and picture a wreath that you have hanging on your tree, and it's an ornament. So not much bigger than this, let's say. It certainly could be bigger than that, but about that size, give or take, with maybe some smaller ones layered on top. And then that could hang from your tree. You punch a hole in it and put some thread through it, and you've got yourself a cute little ornament. Great thing to make with kids too, because kids could do this. They'd probably have more patience for the smaller one than the bigger one. It's hard to tell. Or you glue on some points for them, like a 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock thing, and have them fill in a little bit. Whatever. There's things that you can do to make things a little bit easier for kids to do. So that's what I've got for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gives you some ideas for things that you can do with not only your scraps, but your circle punches. Certainly they're great for sentiments as well. Could even substitute a few of these with, let's say, a couple of lighter colored ones, maybe lighter colored green, and, put like Merry Christmas over here and Happy New Year over here. You could have a few sentiments spread out. Whatever you want to do. The other thing you could do would be to take a longer piece. I don't know what that's supposed to be telling me to do. Oh, good grief. Okay. Never mind. You don't want to hear political news. Put something like this across, maybe in white would be better, and have it have the sentiment on it, and then even glue it down so it's kind of wavy. It has the sentiment on it, and dovetail the ends. That might be kind of hard to picture, so maybe I'll do something like that so that you can see what I'm talking about. That would be kind of nice as well. And maybe some bling kicking around here, around the edges, would be kind of nice too on some of the more plain pieces of paper. All right, I'm not even sure that I like the solid color anymore, or if I would want this one to just be all, I don't know, for some reason on this one I like the way it looks, but on this one I feel like I want all the Designer Series paper And I don't know why, unless it's because I haven't worked in enough of those. Or maybe those need to be smaller. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to play with it. And of course, like I always tell you, you do you. All right, so we've got this one that's a potential ornament, this one that's a potential wreath to hang up someplace, and then we've got this card that mimics a wreath, and then this card with my thumbprint on it that has the ornaments, and then all the mess that goes along with it, all the way around the edges. All right, so thank you very much for joining me tonight, and drop a little note or a comment, please. Give me a thumbs up, and or a like. Yeah, same thing, thumbs up, like. And if you're new, tell me where you're from. I'd love to hear that, and I appreciate it very much. And I'll see you tomorrow night for the last night of the 12 Days of Christmas. Thanks a lot.